day one of the James Craig trial. He's the dentist over in Colorado, one state over, that is being tried for the murder of his wife, Angela Craig. That trial started yesterday with opening statements. I'm going to recap the whole day for you right after this introduction. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Rebecca, your host. Look what you made me do. Look what you... Oh, you can't see the made me do part. Look what you made me do. Handmaids. Anyway, before we get into the trial, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. Recently just hit 4K. I'm so happy. I'm so thankful to all of you guys out there for subscribing to the channel, for sticking with it. Hey, this case, you know, my instinct, I should have gone with my instinct. I didn't go with my instinct. My instinct was to go to this trial, and I didn't do it. I thought, no, I'll just do it the way I always do it, watch the trial and recap it. Well, there's no watching this trial. It is not being streamed. No. The only part of, there's a WebEx. Like if you go to the court webpage, they've got different cameras in the different courtrooms in Arapahoe County. This is over in Aurora, Colorado, which is just outside of Denver. And there are cameras in some of these courtrooms, but in this courtroom, the judge has said only the WebEx, there's going to be only one camera in the courtroom. That's for the WebEx. And it's only available to the media, credentialed media. I'm not credentialed media. I'm a former lawyer. I'm retired, not credentialed. So, and it'll only be openings and closings. The rest, if you're not in the courtroom, you're not going to get to know what went on in that case. So I found some sources in the courtroom, and I'm going to recap what they say occurred yesterday on day one. Now, first, they're kind of painting the picture of the courtroom. James Craig clearly gained a little weight. Here's a picture of him, not so Rico Suave anymore. Not that he ever was. I don't find him attractive at all, but apparently a lot of women did. He is a dentist, was a dentist in Colorado. He had a practice with a partner. He was married to Angela Craig. And so I did a video, 2 videos actually, part 1 and 2, 2 years ago when this happened in March of 2023, right after he was arrested. And it's been 2 years to get to this point. 2 years. So let's get into it. The prosecutor's name is Ryan Brackley. My understanding is he's very, very experienced. He's a very, very good prosecutor. He started his opening statements yesterday about 9:30 a.m. by showing the jury a picture of Angela Craig. And then kind of talking about her, 43-year-old mother of 6 kids. She was the youngest of 10 siblings, just took care of everybody around her, loved her family, took care of her family. Yeah, she was a member of the LDS Church, both she and her husband and her family, member of the LDS Church, very involved in the church, very, religious. And that was Angela Craig. She just took care of people around her. But on March 15th, 2023, she went to the ER feeling dizzy and lethargic. Yeah. What happened to her? Well, she had been in the ER a couple of times prior to that. We know that it was on March 6th and March 9th. So the doctors weren't able to figure out what was happening to her. So what the prosecution did is did some timelines. They did a timeline. And they talked about in February of 2023, James Craig meets Karen Kane at a conference in Las Vegas. I don't know what this conference was. I guess we're going to find out. I think she's going to testify. So they started an emotionally involved relationship. And she told him, and we don't know if this is true or not, she told him that she was going through a divorce and was separated from her husband. She understood from James Craig that he was going through a divorce and had his own apartment in Denver. So one of the texts that was shown to the jury from James Craig to Karen Kane early on in the relationship, the problem is I might be completely in love with you. So she made plans. Like when somebody says that to you, that's pretty impactful. I'm like, whoa. Well, first I'm thinking catfish, because that's just me. But yeah, wow. Okay, so she's planning on coming to Denver. So in late February, just days after the conference, James orders on Amazon arsenic. You can buy arsenic on Amazon. Now, and you don't have to wait for Prime Day. You can get your arsenic. Wait a minute. I got to look this up. Arsenic? Seriously? Now, if I kill somebody, they're going to say, she looked up arsenic. Maybe they took it. I'm just curious. Come on, let's find out. Arsenic. You can order arsenic. Good Lord. And it's not expensive. $10. Okay. Anyway, this arsenic arrives on March 4th. But when this arsenic arrives, Angela Craig, she's out of town. She's gone over to Utah to visit with her family and was making plans on coming back the following year, which, that's important because this prosecutor is going to try to convince the jury she was not suicidal. She didn't do this to herself. She was going to go back to Utah the following year to visit her family again. So she gets home on March 6th. Also, what was mentioned by the prosecutor is between Karen Kane and James Craig, in the short amount of time, we're talking about the end of February to the first part of March, 4,000 text messages. I'd be like, buddy, leave me alone. 4,000 text messages with 80 expressions of love in those text messages. Wow. Talk about rushing into a relationship. Wow. So on March 6th, we're going back to Angela now. Angela gets home. Husband's got a smoothie for her. Hey, I'm making you a smoothie. Here you go. She drinks her smoothie, goes to work out. And she's not starting to feel so hot. Yeah. She said she just wasn't feeling like herself. So she texted James, and here's what she said. My stomach feels fine, but my head feels funny and dizzy. Very strange. So she goes over to Parker Adventist Hospital, the emergency room. They can't find anything wrong with her. They send her back home. Later that day, James texts her, just for the record, I will never drug you. Now, there is some explanation behind that statement, and I didn't get it all through the notes that I found, but when this trial when we start hearing evidence from the witnesses, we're going to find that statement's kind of taken out of context. And I'm not defending the man, but it's taken out of context. And there's some other stuff leading up to why he said that. So, and we'll get there. But it sounds pretty bad, you got to admit. So that same day, we're talking March 6th now. Are we on March 6th or are we on what day are we on? March 6th. Hold on. Yeah, we're still on March 6th. So that same day, March 6th, yeah, one of the employees in the dental office sees James Craig there. It's after hours. He's on a computer. Each room has computers, each exam room. And this is an exam room, number 9. It's in the far... There's a bug. Number 9 in the far part of the hallway. And first of all, he's got his own office and his own computer. Why is he using she thought it was really strange. Why is he down there using that computer? Then he texted her saying he had ordered a personal package, and when it comes, would she just put it on his desk? And, somehow that package gets accidentally opened and there's cyanide in it. Anyway, he also tried to order oleander, which is a toxic plant. And the company asked him, "Well, what do you want this for?" And he was saying he's a researcher. Now, I don't know if that transaction ever went through. So the following day, March 7th, she's having similar symptoms. So she goes to the urgent care. They can't find anything. They send her back home. March 8th, James Craig purchases at the King Super. Now, King Super is a big supermarket. It's owned by Kroger. They own a lot of different supermarkets. The one near me is called Dillon's. They all have different names, but it's this big, huge grocery store chain called Kroger. And they have a little pharmacy in each one now, and they're really trying to ramp up the whole pharmacy part of the business. But James purchases 12 containers of Visine, tetrahydrozoline, which is toxic if you consume it. And he also orders cyanide online. Now, the prosecutor doesn't go into any great detail about this. We're going to hear this through various witnesses as this case progresses. The following day, March 9th, again, Angela gets her smoothie made by James and starts her day. The children later on find out mom's passed out. Mom, they call 911. They get her to the hospital again, and the doctors are stumped. They don't know what is wrong with her. Although her heart rate went up significantly when her husband came to visit, they kept her for a few days, stabilized her over the next few days, and then discharged her. But they put her on an antibiotic called clindamycin. And James kept emphasizing, oh, you got to take your clindamycin. It's very important. They're surmising that he may have put the cyanide inside of the clindamycin capsule because she gets sick again. She's discharged from the hospital. She goes on March 6th, discharge. March 9th, she stays. She's discharged on March 14th. And on March 15th, she's gravely ill. She goes back to the hospital. Very, very sick. This is before noon on March 15th. Like, she's discharged on the 14th. Before noon the next day, she's extremely ill and goes back to the hospital. So the prosecutor said James Craig visited her, and he made this big deal out of it. And I can't wait to see if there's like surveillance footage to back up what he's saying. But that James Craig appears at the hospital in his scrubs, kicks his brother-in-law out of the room, and minutes later he leaves. After that, she's really, really sick. So she trying to find those notes. There were blood draws done on the 9th and the 15th when she first comes in, and they show arsenic. But after his visit that day on the 15th, the blood showed cyanide. Now, the doctors didn't know this at the time. That blood was saved. It's not tests that they ran while she was in the hospital so they could figure out what was wrong with her. They weren't thinking poison. But after the fact, they realized they still had some blood. They went back and tested it. So that's how we know about the poison. They did not know this at the time. So that same day, James Craig, the 15th, where she's gravely ill, like so ill that she collapses and has to be intubated and is declared brain dead subsequent to that. So James is texting Karen Kane, and she is planning to visit on March 16th. And he tells her he's got to go dark for a while. Got to go dark. here's what happened to my wife. And he sends her a picture of Angela intubated in the hospital room. If I can find that picture, I will put it here. Meanwhile, back at the dental office, this employee who had seen him, who's like this ruminating about this thing she saw him on this other computer, she hears about Angela becoming ill, really ill. So she's like, she goes to the partner, his business partner, and she says to him, listen, he was in this room, he was on another computer, he wasn't on his own computer, he ordered this package. The package had cyanide in it. Yeah. So police get involved, and he is arrested on the 19th of March. Meanwhile, he's got all these other charges, and the prosecutor touched on all of these other charges, saying that, at one point he's in jail. He sends a letter to his daughter trying to get her to fake evidence by saying, mom was suicidal. And apparently she's going to testify about that. The next one, he had somebody that he wanted to plant evidence. They didn't go into in great detail. And the next one, he was trying to get a fellow inmate to murder the detective. I think he offered him a bunch of money to do it. So then the prosecutor starts talking about the motive. What's the motive here? Money and women. So the prosecutor said that the dental practice was in trouble. He was on the brink of financial ruin, bankruptcy for the business, himself, and that he stood to get a lot of life insurance for the death of his wife. And he was having a lot of affairs. He was on this website called seeking.com, and his name on the website was Jim and Waffles. Jim and Waffles. So, ladies, if you were on this website and you were, I got to see this website, you were communicating with Jim and Waffles, the reason you haven't heard from him is because he's in jail. Yeah. Okay, just saying. Now, defense gets up in front of the jury, and they said, this case is broken. They're not disputing that Angela Craig got sick on all those days, that she went to the hospital on all those days, that she was poisoned. The question is, how was she poisoned? They're going to show some surveillance footage from the Craig home in the kitchen where James Craig and Angela Craig are having this loving relationship. They're kissing and they're hugging, and they were just so, it was a caring relationship, the doting husband. So we're going to see all that on video with audio. We're going to hear it and see it. Well, we hope. We hope we get to see it. Anyway, and then they said that the financial issues were not as bad as the prosecution portrayed. They're making a mountain out of a molehill. It wasn't that bad. And the women, he'd been cheating for 23 years. She knew about it. They talked about it behind closed doors. She didn't want to split up the family. She wanted the family to stay together. And it's just not something she ever discussed with anybody else. Okay. So she desired for her husband to be a better person, and this broke her. This is what the defense's theme. Then they said James Craig is broken. The solicitation that he did for his daughter and the fellow inmate, it just shows someone who is in a very dark place because police put on blinders. They said as soon as they learned about the cyanide package he had ordered, they were like laser focused on him and never looked at anybody else. They also describe Angela Cooper as being manipulative and wanted attention. and that there will be a daughter to testify to that. And apparently when he said this, the family who is in the audience, Angela Cooper's family, children, she's from a huge family. The family's in the audience. They look shocked. Like, who's going to testify to that? What? So they're also going to be putting evidence on in the form of Angela Cooper's journal, her personal journal detailing her personal struggles. Then they criticized the search that the police did in the Cooper home, and that's a very routine tactic. Is to you always want to put into question the police investigation, But this is not Karen Reed. This is not going to be Karen Reed. I think this is a little bit more cut and dry. And I don't believe that there's anything going on that the police would want to set up James Craig, the dentist. But in any case, so I am going to try very hard. It's going to be difficult, but I will do it. And I will bring you the testimony each day. I will find someone out there that's in the courtroom. I know Lauren from Hindu Crime is there, but not my favorite channel. So just, I know people love her, but it's just not my favorite. Okay. Nothing specific, but Lawyer Lee, love Lawyer Lee, but she's doing the same thing I am. She is hunting for sources and trying to piece this together so that they can keep you guys informed, because this is a very high profile case, and it should be televised. It should be where the public can see it. Why are we concealing all this? One theory is that there's going to be a lot of juveniles testifying in this case and they can't be identified. And we've always dealt with that in the past. The cameramen for court TV and law and crime, they know you shut off the thing when you got a juvenile. I mean, they don't even need an order. They know. But yeah, it is what it is. They just didn't want the publicity, I guess. They're going to get it in spades now, because now people are going to be they're going to be driving to Denver to get into that courtroom now. And I don't know what, I'm going to have to listen to Lauren anyway, just to hear how she's getting a seat in that courtroom every day. This is the one I wanted to go to, and I didn't go. I'm shooting myself for that. Oh, well. Have a wonderful day today. I will be live tonight on Craft With Me Wednesday. I am going to be doing this new craft. It's not a new craft, it's a puzzle. But when it's done, it's going to be a journal. It's from this company called Peace Relax. So tune in tonight at 7 o'clock Central Time. And I'm going to start working on this. And we can chat then. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.